This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports.
And good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Saturday morning Yankees discussion program, the Yankees Talk program. I'm your host, Dr. Paul Semendinger, and I like to say, let's make today a great day. You know what? Every day can be great, but we have to work to make those days great. Thank you for tuning in. This is the Yankee Show. I'm the host of this program. I'm also the executive producer and everything else behind the scenes. I'm still learning about all the different buttons and things I have to work on. So every now and again, if there's a little glitch because I take my eyes off the camera and start looking for a promo bit or something like that, please just bear with me. But I think each time we're getting a little better at figuring it all out and not letting the technical aspects distract from the talk about baseball's greatest team, the New York Yankees. A quick point. I love the Yankees. I have loved the Yankees and thought about them multiple times every day, probably multiple times every minute since I became a fan in 1977. It's been a long time. And even when I'm disappointed with the Yankees, even when I'm frustrated with the Yankees, that doesn't mean I stop loving them. It's like your children or your wife or someone you care about, a family member. Even if you're disappointed, and by the way, I don't think I'm ever disappointed in my wife or my children or anything like that, but you're getting the big picture here. We still love them. And I still love the Yankees. But I have to say, I'm getting disappointed in the 2022 Yankees. And that disappointment stems from my disappointment in the 2021 Yankees and the Yankees really for the last 12 years or so. It's just not going well. And I know the immediate response. The Yankees have the best record in the American League. Yes, they do. But that's in jeopardy. And it's in jeopardy not because they're just playing poorly. It's because the decision making just isn't and hasn't been great. Have you ever done something really well to start? Maybe you decided to write a book, and the beginning, the first few chapters are brilliant. You're amazed at how well you write, and then you just can't finish the job. Or maybe, as Tim Cable notes in his game summary on Start Spreading the News, the Yankee blog, the Yankee site that I run, maybe it's like you did the first half of mowing the lawn and then you just stopped. Maybe it was just a hot day, or a term paper, or a project at work, or a relationship, or anything. You worked real hard at the start, and then you stopped working so hard. I don't know. It just feels that way with the Yankees. They got off to such a great start. And then they were mediocre heading into the All-Star break. The last 16 games the Yankees played heading into the All-Star break, they won 8 and they lost 8. Everyone keeps saying this is a magical season. The Yankees are destined to win. They went 8-8 heading into the All-Star break. But then maybe they were just tired. Since the All-Star break, they've played 15 games. 15. They've lost 9 of them. They're 6-9. So since June 30th, this team of destiny, this team that's so magical, has won 14 games and lost 17. We're getting to the point where this isn't a small sample size. It's over a month. It's over a month of poor baseball overall. That's starting a project real well. Right now, the middle part of that project, not going so well. Are the Yankees going to be able to turn it around? I'm concerned. Remember when I said I began being a Yankees fan in 1977? That was a magical year. What did I know? I was 9. They were all superheroes. They still are. And then the next year was 1978. The Yankees were 14 games out in July. And somehow the Red Sox kept losing and the Yankees kept winning. And magic happened. We'd like to think that that kind of magic can't happen against them. It doesn't happen the other way around, but sometimes it does. And I'm not saying the Yankees aren't going to win the American League East, but there was a time when everyone kept saying the Yankees have the best record in Major League Baseball. In fact, the Yankees are on the pace to set the record for the most wins ever. And now it's, well, the Yankees have the best record in the American League. Right, because the Dodgers are better overall. And pretty soon it might be that the Astros are better than the Yankees. Pretty soon, maybe the Yankees don't even win the East, but I think they will. But you get the point. If the Astros have the best record in the American League and the Yankees meet the Astros in the playoffs, they're playing Game 7, should it get to that, in Houston. If that happens, the Yankees lost a golden opportunity to have the Game 7 in New York. The Yankees haven't played well against Houston. You know how when the Yankees play the Twins in the playoffs, everyone says, well, we always beat the Twins because the Yankees always beat the Twins. Do you know what they're saying in Houston? We always beat the Yankees. Think about that. You know, the Yankees were doing great at that trade deadline. You ever start something and do a really good job in the beginning and then the ending just doesn't work out? The same thing is true for how the Yankees handled the trade deadline. They needed an outfielder. They got Andrew Benintendi. Not the greatest Andrew Benintendi fan. I don't know if that was really the guy to get. I think the Yankees still need some pop in the lineup. But they got Benintendi. Okay, he's a good guy. Gets on base. Doesn't strike out a lot. He's going to do good things. Fair enough. I'll buy it. They needed a starting pitcher, so they got Frankie Montas. Great guy to get. Super. Fantastic. Love it. Remember, they needed a starting pitcher to add to the rotation. They needed another arm. They needed bullpen help. Bam, they got it. They needed to get rid of Joey Gallo. They traded him for a prospect who's actually pretty good, who's number 10 in the Yankee system now. Wow. You ever write a term paper and the beginning is terrific and you end up with a bad grade and the teacher or the professor brings you forward and says, you know, the paper was fantastic, but the conclusion just didn't make any sense. The conclusion of the Yankees trade deadline just didn't make any sense. Just before it was over, the Yankees had an A+. They won the day. And then they lost it at the 11th hour with like no time remaining on the clock. Maybe it was 15 minutes, but you get the picture. They traded Jordan Montgomery. They traded Jordan Montgomery to the St. Louis Cardinals for Harrison Bader. Oh, Harrison Bader's great, everyone says. And maybe he is. Maybe he's terrific. In his whole career since 2017, basically the amount of time that Aaron Judge has played, he's had a grand total of 53 home runs. Aaron Judge might exceed that number this year. He should. I think he has about 168 runs batted in his career. Aaron Judge might exceed that this year. Oh, but he's a great defensive center fielder. He is amazing. And maybe he is, and he probably is. I'll believe the statistics. I'll take them at face value. I've heard great things. There's only one problem with Harrison Bader, at least right now. He's hurt. He's injured. He cannot play. The Yankees traded Jordan Montgomery, a starting pitcher. The Yankees need starting pitching, for an outfielder who's not much of a hitter, who can't play. Now, here's the thing. There's a lot of injuries in baseball that people can say, well, that's the type of thing where it usually takes a week or two, or that's the type of thing that usually takes a month or two, or that's the type of thing that's going to be at least a year. You hear about these timelines depending on the injury, and they base that information based upon what happened with people in the past. And they say, these are the symptoms. This is the problem. This is about how long the guy will be out. We hear that all the time. Except with Harrison Bader, no one knows how long he's going to be out. In fact, in the New York Post, the article about the the trade and the injury has him making a quote like, yeah, we tried everything with the doctors and we couldn't figure anything out. So we decided we'd rest it. Sort of a last ditch effort to try to make this plantar fasciitis problem go away. That's not confident building. Oh, he is hurt and we might not know the solution or how long he'll be out, but we're going to try this and that might work. The Yankees traded a starting pitcher when they need starting pitching for an outfielder who's injured, who's in a boot, and they'd have no idea when he's going to come back. Now tell me that makes sense. Tell me that makes sense when you're a team pushing for the playoffs. And I know the idea, and we're going to get to that in a minute. The Yankees have such a big lead that they don't have to push for the playoffs, except they still need to fight for that home field advantage in Game 7 if they're playing the Astros. And there's no guarantees that they're even going to keep winning at all anyway. And guess what? For the last month, they really haven't. Is it inconceivable that over the last weeks that the Yankees continue to play at this rate and maybe the Blue Jays start to win? Is it inconceivable that the Blue Jays pick up a game in the standings time after time, week after week, and all of a sudden the Yankees' 10.5 game lead becomes 8.5, becomes 4.5? Might that be possible? I think it is. I don't think it's likely. I don't think the Yankees are going to lose the American League East, but that doesn't mean you trade a starting pitcher for a guy who's injured, especially when you have no timetable for his return. And especially when it's plantar fasciitis. I'm a runner. I run marathons. I've had plantar fasciitis. It can linger. It impacts the way you play the game. I also play baseball. And I played softball for many, many years, decades, and tried to play through plantar fasciitis and other assorted injuries. Guess what? It hurts the way you run. It hurts the way you cover ground. You're not the same player. So the Yankees have a guy who might be able to come back, whose game is based a lot on defense. That's where his value comes. And they don't even know if he can play. And who'd they give up for him? They gave up a starting pitcher on a team that needs starting pitching. But they didn't just give up a starting pitcher. They gave up a starting pitcher who is second on the team in innings pitched this year. And they didn't just give up on a starting pitcher who's second on the team in innings pitched this year. They gave up on a starting pitcher who was second on the team in innings pitched last year. They gave up a workhorse. And they gave up a lefty. A lefty. The Yankees teams are always built, the successful teams, on left-handed starting pitching and left-handed power. So they got a left-handed bat in Andrew Benintendi, but he's not a power hitter. And they had a left-handed starting pitcher, and they let him go for a guy who's injured. Tell me this makes sense. It doesn't make sense. And then I hear this. Well, Montgomery wasn't going to be in the rotation in the playoffs anyway. Okay, I'll buy it. More reason to pitch him now. Wouldn't you rather your guys who are going to pitch in the playoffs have it a little easier in August and September and down the stretch, giving those innings to the guy who's not going to be a factor in the postseason? A guy who is still a very good pitcher? A guy who's second on your team the last 2 years in innings pitched? Wouldn't you rather him eat up those innings than give them to Nestor Cortez or Garrett Cole or Jamison Taillon or Luis Severino when he's coming back from an injury? Just think about it. But the Yankees say, or the fans say, or the people who like the trade say, well, if you squint and you look at the numbers this way and that way, Harrison Bader's so great defensively that if the Yankees use him for even a minute, he's going to make so many great plays that it's going to make all the difference in the world and it's going to help them win a postseason series or a postseason game or something. Don't you think Jordan Montgomery's value over 2 months, eating up innings, is going to be vastly superior to whatever Harrison Bader can provide whenever he can provide them? Think about that. I have a long article on the Start Spreading the News Yankee site coming up today at 1 o'clock where I delve deep into this. I also talk about the idea that Harrison Bader is insurance in case Aaron Judge decides to leave. Really? Harrison Bader is the equivalent of Aaron Judge if Aaron Judge doesn't re-sign with the Yankees? Come on. So take a look. That's at www.startspreadingthenews.blog. I'm not happy with the Jordan Montgomery trade. I think you can see that. Let's take a moment right here. It's already halfway through our program. I'm going to put up the Dream Ride promo, and then we'll be right back to talk more Yankees baseball.
The Hometown Foundation is excited to bring back the Dream Ride experience, August 26th to the 28th at Connecticut's Farmington Polo Club. Join us in celebrating the accomplishments of our Dream Riders while enjoying live music, a car and motorcycle show, family fun zone, pet adoptions, canine demonstrations, the Fireman's Chili Cook-Off, and much, much more. Get your tickets today.
See right now, without LeBron, Lakers are struggling.
Let me tell you about a team I hate, all right? I know the Dallas Cowboy fan is here, so I had to make sure he knew how much I hate this team.
I'm ready.
I've often said that the people who run baseball, they try very hard to ruin it.
I'm from Brooklyn. I don't have a problem saying it to his face. Oh, from Brooklyn. Hey, get us any.
All right, we are back. And I want to say hello to our good friend, Rick. Here's his comment. Welcome. Good morning, Doctor. Good morning, Rick. As I learned the whole board over here and each of the things, I have to make more effort to look into the comments area. When I've been doing this, I tend to miss the comments. So, Rick, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for saying hi. Everyone, if you have a comment, you can make them. And I will do my best, obviously, to get to all of them. My own promo. I have a wonderful novel I wrote. It's called Scattering the Ashes. It won all sorts of awards, including literary fiction, the best in literary fiction. I think in New Mexico was that. I don't have the certificate in front of me. If you want to read a book about family, about love, about loss, about wonder, a book about baseball, a book about running, a book that's going to make you laugh, and a book that's going to make you smile, a book about faith. It's not a religious book, but it's a book about God. It's a book about so much. Take a look. Right now, it's on a special sale for the month of August. If you go to Amazon or any Barnes & Noble, Kobo, or any of those other booksellers online, Apple Books, I think, the Kindle's only 99 cents. I mean, hey, buy the hardcover. That would be terrific too. But take a look at Scattering the Ashes. I believe you'll love it. All right. So the Yankees have decided to trade a starting pitcher, a guy who's obviously an innings eater, for a guy who can't play. And part of the idea is that the Yankees are looking more toward the playoffs. They're going to take it easy. They're going to worry about load management. They're going to rest the players. The dog days of August are going to be taken a little bit slower. Get used to losing. It's okay. We didn't make that trade for now, says Brian Cashman. We made that trade for the postseason. Okay, fair enough. Maybe you know more than me. I'm sure you do. You're the GM of the Yankees. You know a lot more than me. It's not even a maybe. Fair enough. I don't buy it. I don't like the strategy. I don't think great teams take their foot off the gas pedal and say, let's cruise to the finish. And then we'll turn it on September 15th or September 18th or October 1st. I just don't think that's the way teams win. Now, people like to say that a baseball season is a marathon and not a sprint. It's a marathon. You can't play hard every day. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. But this is what they don't realize. And this coming from a guy who's run 22 marathons. Just getting to the comments here. Let's see what we got. What do you think the Yankees need to do to beat the Astros? Did these trades help? I'll try to get to that in a moment. They talk about the idea that baseball is a marathon and not a sprint. But you know what? The winners of marathons basically sprint the whole way. Now, they don't run their fastest the whole way. They keep a little in the tank. But the winner of the New York City Marathon in 2022 or 21 last year ran 453 miles. Every mile, on average, that man ran in 4 minutes and 53 seconds. To me, that sounds like a sprint. The all-time New York City Marathon record is finishing the race 26.2 miles in 2 hours and 5 minutes and 6 seconds. That's a 446 mile. That's a 446 mile. It's under 5-minute miles the whole way. He doesn't run, or they don't run. No guy or woman who runs a marathon has ever run the first 15 miles at a super fast pace and then decided to take the pressure off and run real slow. They don't then say, you know what, I'm going to walk for the next 2 months or the next 4 miles and take it easy and then turn it on at the end. That's not how you win a marathon. A marathon's a marathon and not a sprint. No, they're running hard the whole way. And the Yankees' strategy right now, they're basically saying, we're not going to run hard right now. We're going to take our foot off the gas pedal. We're seeing that. They haven't been good since the end of June. They're under 500 since the end of June. It's August. Think about that. It's a marathon and not a sprint. But to win the marathon, you have to run hard the whole way. And their not sprinting is pretty much a sprint for everybody else. They're running sub 5-minute miles, the winners, for 26.2 miles. They are working hard. They are going for it. When the Yankees made the trades, at that same time, they also moved Luis Severino to the 60-day DL or IL. Severino was like, why? I'm ready. I'm almost ready. I could come back. And the Yankees said, no, we're just going to take it easy. Slow down. We don't need you yet. We're going to wait. They took their foot off the gas pedal. I don't buy it. I don't buy it at all. That's not how winning teams win. You don't let the competition get back to you. The Astros are going to overtake the Yankees in the standings. The Yankees are going to play a game 7 in Houston. Should it get that far? And what if they lose that game? Are they going to regret all these decisions? Getting rid of Jordan Montgomery so that you have a guy who might show up in the playoffs or the end of September, who has an injury we don't understand and don't know how to heal? That's going to help you win in October? Makes no sense. I'm disappointed. Doesn't mean I don't love them. Doesn't mean I don't love the Yankees. Means I'm confused. Means I think their strategy is a poor strategy right now. Now, am I the authority on all these deals, on the Harrison Bader deal? I'm not. I think I am. I hope I'm right. Well, actually, I hope I'm wrong. I hope Harrison Bader comes back tomorrow and starts hitting home runs, and John Sterling starts making great home run calls. I hope Harrison Bader wins Game 7 of the World Series with a home run, a walk-off. The pitch. Swung out and driven to deep left. It is high. It is far. It is gone. Oh, my gosh. By gosh. It's Josh, right? I hope Josh. It's Harrison is his first name. Whatever. You get the idea. I hope he hits a big home run and wins it all, and John Sterling goes crazy, and the Yankees are the world champs. I hope he hits it off Jordan Montgomery. The Yankees will play the Cardinals in the World Series. I hope he gets the game winner, the walk-off, and the Yankees all win. Hope I'm wrong. There are writers that start spreading the news. The Yankee site starts spreading the news.blog who disagree with me in the mailbag and in other articles. Take a look. We'll see what they have to say. They would say I'm wrong, that this is a great trade. Maybe they're right. You know what? I hope they are. Now, Rick asked the question. He says, what do you think the Yankees need to do to beat the Astros? Did these trades help? Well, I think you know my answer on did the trades help. I think Frankie Montas helps. I think the bullpen improving helps. The Yankees do win when they have a better bullpen, and their bullpen is tired, as we can see, and there's been a lot of injuries out there. And so, yes, in a short series, do I like the idea of Garrett Cole, though he comes up small often in big games? And do I like Frankie Montas? And do I like the idea of Luis Severino? That's a pretty good top 3 if they're all pitching to their best, and you have Nestor Cortez. That's a pretty good team right there. I think the Yankees, if everybody's healthy, have a solid enough offense. Again, I wish they had a couple more bats that had some pop. They have a catcher who's a good hitter. Seems to be. He's having an all-star year. They have a shortstop who's a good defender, but doesn't hit much. Now they have a left fielder who doesn't hit much. So I'm talking about power-wise. I think those things could hurt the Yankees, but if they get the pitching they have, and their pitchers pitch as well as they could, of course they can beat Houston. I just think they made a big mistake by getting rid of the guy who could have helped them. especially in August and September, Jordan Montgomery. I had a lot of thoughts about the captain, the show about Derek Jeter. I watched one of the 2 episodes from Thursday night. I watched it last night. I was having a baseball game on Thursday, so I was playing rather than watching. And I don't have enough time to delve deeply into this since we're coming up quickly upon the bottom of the hour. But just 2 thoughts, and maybe I'll get into more of these on the blog and, of course, on the Northeast Streaming Sports Network. I have another show that comes on Monday nights at 9 p.m. We go live. That's the Start Spreading the News program. That's with me and Dr. E.J. Fagan, and we always have lots of other writers and guests. So tune in every Monday at 9 p.m. to watch that program. But 2 quick thoughts, and then, boy, those half hours go quickly. 2 quick thoughts. One, I think sometimes the stories in these documentaries are written after the fact. They write the story to fit what happened. They were talking about the Yankees losing in 2004 to the Red Sox. And Joe Torre made a comment like, after we lost the first game, we knew we could be in trouble. Really? In 2004, the Yankees lost the first game after winning the first 3 against the Red Sox and thought they were in trouble? This is the same team that lost the first 2 games of the World Series in 1996, and Joe Torre said, we're going to win the whole thing, George, don't worry. So they're up 3-1 and they think they're in trouble? This is the team that won the World Series in 1996, 1998, 1999, 2000, and then they think they're in trouble? This is a team that was in the World Series the year before. They lose 1 game and they think they're in trouble to the Red Sox, who never won anything? This doesn't make any sense. And if that was the feeling, no wonder they lost. They went into it with no confidence. It really doesn't fit the way the story's always been told and the way the Yankees have always portrayed those seasons and the way it's been written about and read about everywhere, that this was a Yankee team that was always very confident. Maybe the Red Sox were just better. That's possible. But this idea that the Yankees knew they were in trouble after losing 1 game, it on its face, that whole narrative made no sense. And then the other narrative I want to get to real quickly is this idea that Derek Jeter had become a very poor defensive shortstop. Now, we were all reading that in the mid-2000s, early 2000s, that his range wasn't what it could be and things like that. But that none of the coaches or the manager would say anything to Derek Jeter, that's a bad look on Derek Jeter, and it's a bad look on the Yankees. Was Derek Jeter so unapproachable that the coaches can't say you have to improve your game? Or were the coaches so weak and so indecisive, or the manager, that they couldn't approach the shortstop and say, guess what? Your range isn't where it should be. Maybe you'd be better at a different position. Maybe you need to work out differently. It took the general manager, Brian Cashman, to have a sit down with Derek Jeter to say, hey, look, everybody else says you're not really doing what you should and you're not as good as you think you are. Your range is really terrible. And it's up to me to tell you? No one else would tell him? I don't know. That's not a good look. They should have been telling him. That's what coaches do. That's what managers do. That's what a team does. The player needs to be able to be accepting of criticism and critique and strategies to help make him better. And the coaches and the manager have to be telling the player how to get better. That's the way it works. All right, my friends. What a great morning. Listen, you know what could happen between now and next Saturday? The Yankees could run off, win 7 in a row. They could look great. They're playing against Jordan Montgomery tonight. He could give up 37 runs. Everybody could hit home runs. The Yankees could just win and win and win. And I'll come back next week and say, remember how worried I was? Remember how I didn't like the trade? Montgomery's 0-2 since the trade with an ERA of 35 million. It could happen. That's what I hope happens. Let's go Yankees. All right, I'm going to end this all now. I just have to get to the promos and all of that kind of stuff. I want to thank everybody for watching. This has been a presentation of the Northeast Streaming Sports Network. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again Monday night, 9 p.m. for the Start Spreading the News show. And actually, this morning, I'll see you again in about a half an hour on the Mac and Jack Debate Show with me and Jamie Pags. Have a great day.
This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports.